Was Valos able to help you with whoever you were searching for, Relsyn?
No, regrettably, but we still decided we could help each other in other ways.
Oh, sure. Other ways. Alrighty. Welcome back, any and everybody. This is Linen Otter, here to do another episode of The Taste
Of Fire.
And I think we're just gonna pretend like nothing happened. But why is Valos and him, I forget his name, looking at me like that?
Oh, Sam. Good morning.
Relsyn steps into the room right behind him. They're both fully clothed, or at least as clothed as they usually are. Wow, why is that word so weird? Clothed. At least as clothed as they usually are. Good morning. My voice comes out listless. As I turn to face the dragons, I can immediately tell Valos has taken notice by the way his eyes narrow. Why are they smiling at me like that?
Is everything alright?
Letting out a laugh that, even to me, sounds distinctly nervous, I nod. Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't it be?
You just sound...
I was just downstairs, actually, looking for you. Did the two of you just return to the inn? Valos looks behind him, as if he had completely forgotten Relsyn was there. Meanwhile, the red-scaled dragon is leaning against the doorframe, wearing a slight smile. He doesn't say anything, though.
Right. We were just talking, actually. Well, you remember Relsyn.
Greetings, Sam.
Didn't sleep well?
Shaking my head, I bite my lip. Why can't I stop thinking about what I saw? What I should be thinking about is my timer and how I haven't started it yet. I'm surprised you came around, Valos. I thought we would go looking for Relsyn together.
I thought it best not to wake you, since I found him late into the night. You needn't worry. I have ascertained that Relsyn is who he said he was.
Right. I'm glad. There's an awkward silence after that. The dragons exchange another look while I stare down at my boots. Then, was Valos able to help you with whoever you were searching for, Relsyn?
No, regrettably. But we still decided we could help each other in other ways.
Oh, sure. Other ways. Despite myself, I chuckle.
However, Valos said you wanted to speak with me too.
Yes, I suppose I did.
Well, we should head downstairs then. Maybe instead of standing around here.
Yeah, let's go. Relsyn steps out into the hallway, but Valos lingers, putting a hand on my shoulder when I motion to follow.
Are you certain you're feeling well?
I am. Do not worry. Nodding, he ushers me out. As I walk behind Relsyn, my eyes become fixed on his behind, which his attire conceals only barely. Have they been at this all night? Not too surprising, I suppose. We've been at the inn for some time now, and as far as I know, Valos hasn't done anything to relieve himself all this time. Then again, I'm not aware what the dragon has been up to, really. For all I know, he could have slept with any number of locals. I shouldn't be dwelling on this. Oh. Downstairs, Hershel, who has evidently moved on to cleaning up the main room, acknowledges us with a nod. Why is he smiling like that?
Found them upstairs, huh? Good, good. Come on, sit. I was just about to get started on making a meal.
Valos, who has approached the window and is glancing outside, is the one to reply.
Thank you, Hershel, but I will have to decline. Sam and Relsyn are hungry, though, I'm sure.
Could use a bite, if it won't trouble you.
I have some errands to take care of, but I'll return soon.
Having expected for Valos to be there for the conversation, I'm more than a little surprised. On the other hand, he didn't work for Hershel yesterday. Makes sense he'd have some tasks from the innkeeper. I nod at Valos, then turn to Hershel. I'm not hungry, Hershel, but thanks for offering. The innkeeper hums to himself as he retreats into the kitchen. Meanwhile, Relsyn takes a seat, with his back to the wall, and points at the opposite chair.
Well then, I'm sure Relsyn will answer your questions. See you soon, Sam.
The dragon surreptitiously slips out the door, closing it quickly behind him, cutting off the brief sound of the locals' chatter drifting in. After a moment, I join Relsyn at the table. He folds his hands, wearing a tiny smile. Well, I was just wondering how, what happened at night. Last we talked, Valos was not all that keen on having you around. I can't help but avert my eyes again, hoping my embarrassment isn't plain to see as my mind insists on picturing the scene from before.
I thought he might want to keep an eye on me until I left, so all I had to do was wait around until he found me. You know, human, you're lucky, having someone like him for a friend. Seeing how much he cares about your safety, you should feel quite fortunate.
Because of how you decided to show up, mostly.
Not my best plan, admittedly. Even so, Valos overreacted a little, if I'm being honest.
Relsyn rubs his throat as he says it.
Regardless, he finally accepted that I wasn't out to harm you, or him for that matter. Asked me a bunch of other questions, but I won't bore you with all of it. What's important is that he agreed to leave me be if I wanted to stick around this area. That, and Valos mentioned you wanted to speak with me as well, so here we are.
No mention of what happened upstairs. It's none of my business, to be fair, but surely Valos didn't go from making sure Relsyn meant no harm to letting his fellow dragon pleasure him with his mouth. Assuming that's even all they did. Not that I can ask any questions about this. I'm not about to reveal that I saw it all. I am glad you two were able to come to an understanding.
As am I.
Right. Then you're not from around here, I take it?
Of course not. I've been wandering for some time now, but I am originally from Isel.
Isel?
It is in the kingdom in the north of the empire.
Oh, I remember that. It's where Thurina's son began his rebellion, wasn't it? The dragon appears taken aback.
Didn't expect you to have any knowledge of our history.
I shrug. I'm lucky enough to know how to read, and I borrowed some books from Hershel.
I see. Curious about dragons, are we?
Something like that. How long ago did you leave?
Years now.
Do a lot of dragons leave like that? First Valos, now you? Most folk I know have stayed rooted to the same piece of land all their lives.
But not you. It is the same for us. Quite rare for a dragon to leave his home, and even rarer to leave the empire. But sometimes you don't have a choice.
Did you have a choice? Relsyn falls silent, no longer smiling. Then with a sigh, he locks eyes with me and nods.
Indeed. I didn't leave Isel because I wanted to.
What happened?
It's complicated. I wasn't supposed to leave alone either. My lover, she couldn't come with me like we had planned. She's the reason I sought out Valos. I had hoped he might know something of her.
I blinked dumbly at his words. But he was with Valos just earlier. Relsyn spoke with genuine longing in his voice, so I don't doubt what he's saying is true. I have no reason to. Perhaps it is something dragons don't mind, especially if it has been years since Relsyn left. You can't return to her?
I have considered it, but it is likely my return wouldn't be welcomed by some unpleasant people, and I wouldn't want to put her in danger. It's for the best if I stay away.
Not knowing what to say to that, I stay silent. Relsyn is staring somewhere behind me, wearing a sorrowful expression. It's obvious whatever his situation is, it pains him a lot. The dragon is the first to break the melancholy silence.
You aren't from here either, are you?
No, I'm from a small village to the west of here. It's part of this kingdom, I think, although you'd never know. Even I didn't until several days ago. Never even had a tax collector visit. I suppose being like that is why we were left alone by most beastmen for so long.
But you left? By choice?
I didn't think I had a future there. With no family to speak of, I decided nothing was holding me back from journeying to see the world. I don't think I'll ever return, but I know most people aren't like me. I'm sorry you can't go home, Relsyn.
Maybe someday.
I hope so. Did Valos know anything about your lover?
He didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was a small hope anyway, but I had to ask.
I understand. Then you've been traveling around for some years now.
Yes, here and there. Started out playing my guitar in the towns I visited. It earned me some coin, but I was barely scraping by. Luckily, there are plenty willing to pay for my company.
You mean you sold your body for coin? Immediately, the thought that Valos could have simply paid Relsyn for what happened earlier invades my mind. The red dragon knits his eyebrows together and sounds distinctly annoyed when he speaks.
Yes. It's not something I'm ashamed of either.
Oh, of course. I'm sorry. I didn't mean anything by it. Before Relsyn answers, the kitchen door swings open and Hershel steps towards us with a bowl of the stew he likes cooking so much. He puts it in front of the dragon, who thanks the innkeeper and tastes a spoonful while nodding appreciatively.
Are you sure you don't want some, Sam?
No thank you, Hershel. Do you know when Valos will return?
Sorry, Sam. I'm not sure.
I'm a bit irritated by that, but there's nothing to do about it. All that's left is to hope Valos won't return well after nightfall like he usually does. Hershel returns to the kitchen while I look back to Relsyn. Truthfully, there's more I wanted to ask him, since I was hoping that it'd be an opportunity to learn more about dragons, but now I'm not so sure. He's reluctant to speak in detail about his past in the Empire, and I don't want to ask questions that might make him suspect I know what happened between him and Valos. Relsyn, meanwhile, regards me curiously in between spoonfuls of stew.
You said you have no family, Sam. What about friends? A girl you had eyes for?
No one like that. I had some friends, I guess, but I was never that close with anyone.
I see. I suppose that's one kind of freedom to have. Are you considered young among humans?
I'm an adult, although I haven't been one for long.
Why the interest in books about the Dragon Empire?
I set out to travel, didn't I? It helps to know what's out there, and my village was far too remote for me to learn about and my village was far too remote for me to learn much about the outside world. Relsyn mulls my words over while finishing the rest of the stew. As he puts the spoon and bowl aside, he tilts his head to the side and asks,
"Do you have feelings for Valos?"
The heat that rushes to my cheeks must mean I'm red as a beet, and I cough as I try to hide it. What do you mean by that? It's not like I like him or anything. He's just a friend. I mean, of course not.
Sorry. I'm sorry, Sam. I shouldn't have asked. You don't need to answer. I shouldn't have made you uncomfortable.
Breathing heavily, I nod, grateful nevertheless. I'm glad he's not pushing it, even if my reaction to the question was nonsensical. I take a moment to regain my composure. The way you ask that, I wonder if that's common for male dragons to take male lovers, I mean. Relsyn snorts derisively.
Our kind accepts partners of any gender, regardless of your own. But I'm well aware it's not accepted everywhere. I've been run out of towns when the locals learned I didn't mind the company of men. It's all silly to me, though. As far as dragons are concerned, this kind of affection is not unusual. We don't mind lovers of other species either, although I can't speak for everyone. Valos may have his own desires in this regard.
I stare at him, wide-eyed, but Hershel interrupts again, returning with 2 large cups of what I presume to be ale.
Say, innkeeper, are you in need for some entertainment for the tavern over here? I can retrieve my guitar if you'll let me play for tips.
Hershel rubs his chin, giving Relsyn an appraising look.
I suppose, especially with a dragon playing. Well, if someone comes to gawk and pays for a drink, I don't mind. If that happens, I'm willing to pay on top of whatever tips you get. Great. Then
The door slams open. A short beastman flies through the entryway. A fox. With a nimble roll, he turns to look behind him. Valos is there, a mixed look of anger and worry on his face. The fox chuckles, looking around. His gaze falls on me, and his eyes narrow. Before anybody can react to what's happening, the fox is moving again. He dashes right at me. I barely have time to react, even as he grabs a knife at his belt. He doesn't get very far. Valos covers the distance swiftly, grabbing the fox by the shirt. Oh yeah, he's not gonna like that. Lifting the squirming beastman, the dragon hurls him across the room. The fox crashes onto a table. Valos looks around, wide-eyed and breathing heavily.
I'm sorry. He was lurking outside again, and... Sam, are you all right?
As confused as I am, I don't get to reply. The fox stands, chuckling again, despite rubbing the arm he landed on.
Get to final.
Okay, I'll have to take a drink of water for that. So what voice for this guy?
Good to finally meet you, human. Good to finally meet you, human. Your dragon friend hasn't made me seeing you easy, but I do enjoy a challenge.
Glaring at me, he grabbed the knife he dropped from the table that now lies in splinters.
You better get out of here right. You better get out.
My voice is so tired.
You better get out of here now, Fox, before you get hurt. I'll leave it at that.
As if to accentuate the innkeeper's words, Valos unsheaths his sword. The fox, however, appears undeterred. For the first time, he seems to notice Relsyn, and his eyes widen for a moment. but then he is grinning again.
Another one, huh? Oh, no matter. Listen, innkeeper, I'm willing to work out a good deal. Hand over the hairless ape and you'll get a nice sum of money. How about it?
Valos steps between Hershel and the fox and points his sword at the latter.
This is the last warning. Leave now.
Don't expect me to stand aside if you try anything. Best listen to the dragon. The fox twirls the knife as if actually contemplating taking them on, but then steps towards the door. Our eyes meet right before he steps outside. Valos closes the door, looking to see if the fox is really leaving, then closes it and turns to the ox.
I'm really sorry, Hershel. He slipped past me before I could stop him.
The innkeeper nods, looking a little dazed from everything that just happened. I'm probably wearing an identical look. Having no clue what just happened, it's nevertheless very clear that the fox bears me ill intent. Valos begins cleaning up the ruined table, and as Relsyn joins him, I also step in to help. The damage isn't bad, but all the while I'm conscious that, somehow, I caused this to happen. I've been worried about beastmen coming after me all this time, but with how friendly Hershel has been, I had started to let the feeling go. It was foolish to think that everyone would be like that, though. Not only that, but to think that they wouldn't know I was here. Someone would have seen Valos bring me here. And now, I seem to have this fox after me. None of us say anything. The cleanup is swift and silent. After we're done with that, I offer to clean up in the kitchen as well, like I promised earlier. Valos heads upstairs while Relsyn offers to stick around and watch out for trouble, which Hershel gladly accepts. As rattled as I am, I spent a solid minute staring out the kitchen window, wondering if the fox is hiding somewhere just out of sight. Eventually, I just get to work, letting the repetitive task distract me from my thoughts. Hershel comes in and sits quietly for a while as I finish up.
That's good enough, Sam.
Listen, Hershel, it was not
Don't you worry about that. I do not blame him for what happened. You should probably take a break. Talk to Valos. You can help me with dinner, but it'll be some time before that.
Just call for me then. Relsyn waves me over when I leave the kitchen. Sorry about whatever that was, Relsyn.
Don't you worry about that. I could tell you were as surprised as I was. Hopefully the fool has sense to stay away from the inn.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Well, that aside, we can resume our chat some other time. And Sam, I think you should just be honest with Valos.
I'll keep that in mind. I trudge back to our room. As I step in, I find Valos sprawled on the bed. He stirs as soon as I appear, lifting his head to look at me in a daze. He's all exhausted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lie down here.
He begins to stand up. Hey, no need to apologize. You can just use the bed. I can tell you're exhausted, Valos. Besides, it's hardly fair I've been the only one using it while you sleep on the floor. We're going to trade places.
No, that's not necessary.
I feel irritation rising at his words. I'm not talking about what's necessary, Valos. The dragon ignores what I say, standing up and stretching his arms before giving me a serious look.
More importantly, we should talk about what happened.
I'm annoyed that he brushes me off like that, but it's true that the fox is a more urgent matter, so I relent. Who was that?
I don't know, but it's not the first time he's tried this.
So this has been going on for some time? Why wouldn't you tell me that? The look the dragon gives me is one of confusion.
I was taking care of it, so I didn't want to worry you needlessly. Today, I slipped. I'm sorry. I should have gotten some rest earlier.
That's not the issue, Valos. That's not the issue. Valos, if someone's out there to get me, I need to know that. I'm grateful you want to keep me safe, but being in the dark like this, with no say in anything that goes on for my sake, I don't like that at all.
It's just safer this way.
If you had told me about this, I would have understood better why you reacted the way you did to Relsyn yesterday. Valos deflates under my angry responses. And maybe I haven't been reading these as angry as I should have been. It's like, how can you be mad at Valos, though? Gosh, Sam. I mean, I get it. But even if he looks upset, it feels good to finally voice this. The dragon has been overprotective of me, and while it has become clear that there's real danger, I would have very much liked to have a say in how we deal with that.
All right, Sam, I am sorry. I didn't mean to mistreat you in any way.
You're not mistreating me, but you have been oddly protective of me. I remember what you said, back when I first woke up here, but you didn't have to go out of your way for me the way you have. Valos sits heavily on the stool and closes his eyes, sighing.
You're just very different from the people I'm used to having around me. In a good way. I mean it. And I guess when I happened to be right there to help you when you were attacked, I thought, here we are, two people who left their homes, and we meet like that. It had to be fate.
It's my turn to be confused. Taking a seat on the bed, I contemplate his words. What kind of folks are you used to? The dragon looks up at me and sighs again.
I'm from a noble house, back in the Dragon Empire. A pretty important one, so I'm used to everyone having great expectations for me.
I suspected as much, but I'm surprised to hear Valos admit it.
But none of that matters right now. What matters is that I've been keeping some of these beastmen at bay. Maybe they are just that hateful towards humans, or maybe it's some other reason. But they want to come after you, and I'm not about to let them.
It wasn't just the fox? Valos shakes his head. I want to be upset with him, but looking at him now, at how tired he looks, how exhausted, I can't bring myself to get angry. Yeah, look at him. You really should have told me all this, Valos. That being said, I owe you my life over and over, and for that, I'm genuinely grateful. Valos' smile is restrained, but genuine. But if that's the case, we really should leave. Or rather, we should have left days ago.
You needed time to recover.
I'm good to travel. You shouldn't keep putting yourself in danger like this over and over. How long before one of them ends up hurting you?
I can handle them, Sam, but I admit it has grown tiresome. We can discuss all that, and what to do if the fox reappears, with Hershel over dinner. Relsyn too, if he's still around.
Alright, but you get some more rest. On the bed, that's not up to discussion. Valos groans but concedes defeat and lies down again. I quietly close the door behind me. Relsyn is no longer downstairs, keeping watch outside maybe, although I'm not eager to check. In the kitchen, Hershel is already making preparations for the evening meal.
Is Valos alright?
Yes, just tired. I think we should talk about that fox and whatever is going on over dinner. I think we should talk about that fox and whatever is going on over dinner.
Agreed. It's certainly not something we can afford to ignore.
My eyes are drawn to the window again, and I gulp nervously. Like before, there's nobody there, so I take up a knife and get to chopping onions while Hershel retrieves cured meats and other supplies. While I don't keep track of time, I know that a fair bit passes while we work in silence. Unfortunately, this kind of monotonous activity isn't something that can distract me from my thoughts. I feel my anxiety build with each passing minute, not having a clue why the fox or anybody else would be that persistent in going after me. I feel my anxiety build with each passing minute, not having a clue why the fox or why anybody else would be that persistent in going after me doesn't help. Surely they don't hate humans this badly, do they? And how long before the damn Mr. Hershel's inn goes beyond one broken table? Lost in these thoughts, I flinch when Hershel puts an arm on my shoulder to let me know the meal that had been cooking over the fire is ready. While the ox puts everything on the plates, I go back to the main room and move the tables around so the four of us can sit together. With that done, Hershel goes outside to retrieve Relsyn while I go upstairs for Valos. I can tell that the dragon hasn't had nearly enough rest, but as much as I'd like to give him more time, this is urgent, and I doubt Hershel would like it if we delay things even more. But delay them we shall, because there's my timer. And we're just gonna have to get into this next time. Oh, look at that. Yep, this is gonna be something. Alright, but we'll do this next time. Alright, thank you guys for watching. What a interesting episode. The aftermath isn't what I expected, but Valos continues to be cute. Sam continues to be silly in his, holding on to his anxieties about Valos and Beastmen. Well, no, that's not true, actually. He's warming up to Valos a lot, and his fears about all these Beastmen kinda were founded just now, so never mind. Things are taking a turn for the expected. But we'll see how things continue to take a turn in the next episode. Thank you guys for watching. If you left a like on the video, I would appreciate it a lot. I'm really close to 1,000, so I decided that I'm going to start pushing for it more. So you'll hear a lot more of these. But also feel free to subscribe. That's what's really going to get me to 1,000. But outside of that, I hope you have a good day, a good night, a good evening, whatever it is for you. And we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye now.